Okay, we're going to wrap up chapter 2 here. We're going to cover part 4 and 5 in this video. We're going to start off by talking about the dietary guidelines for Americans. And dietary guidelines, when they come out, they're usually for a 5-year period. So the guidelines that we have right now that you can access online are for 2020 to 2025, and there's actually the study of these guidelines has also recently come out, and new guidelines will be published soon. So who publishes these? The USDA, the U.S. Department of Agriculture, and the USDHHS, Department of Health and Human Services. And here's a summary slide. Again, there you can access the full document, and you can access, there's smaller, more manageable to read documents that are available. This is a nice summary of the guidelines. So 1, you should follow a healthy dietary pattern at every life stage. So from infancy, to adulthood, including pregnancy and lactation. It's never too early or too late to eat healthy. Number 2, customize and enjoy nutrient-dense food and beverage choices to reflect personal preferences, cultural traditions, and budgetary considerations. Number 3, focus on meeting food group needs with nutrient-dense foods and beverages and stay within calorie limits. And then 4, limit foods and beverages that are higher in added sugar, saturated fats, and sodium, and limit alcoholic beverages. Okay. Again, you can read the whole document in your spare time if you'd like to. The dietary guidelines for Americans, the science underlying the dietary guidelines demonstrates that healthy eating across the lifespan can promote health and reduce the risk of chronic disease. That's the point here, okay? And so, it takes you through life stages and tells you if you do eat healthy, according to these guidelines, you'll be at lower risk for all kinds of stuff. Okay. The premise to these guidelines is that we should be meeting our nutrient needs primarily by consuming food, fortified foods. So, orange juice fortified with calcium, or dietary supplements. Not that they're bad, right? They may be useful sources of nutrients in certain cases, but we really should be trying to eat a healthful diet. Dietary supplements are not a substitute. So instead of drinking orange juice fortified with calcium, we should try to be eating foods that are nutrient dense in calcium. Variety is key to getting all the nutrients offered by each food group. So we should try to eat a lot of different foods. Okay. We should eat the rainbow, right? Lots of different colored fruits and vegetables and other foods. Okay. The Academy of Nutrition and Dietetics has these 5 principles. We should be realistic and make small changes over time. We should be adventurous and try new foods regularly. We should be flexible and balance some sweet and fatty foods with physical activity. So again, you want your diet to be sustainable. You don't want to say I'm never going to eat this. That's kind of a recipe for disaster. You just want to limit foods that are, not nutritious. Be sensible and include favorite foods, but in smaller portions. Be active and include physical activity in daily life. And we'll actually spend a chapter talking about exercise and what that should look like. Okay. So again, meet nutritional needs primarily through nutrient-dense foods and beverages. Choose a variety. Pay attention to portion size. 85% of your calories should be met with healthy, nutrient-dense foods. Small percentage of your daily calorie intake should come from foods that have sugar and saturated fats. Okay, don't say never, but limit those types of foods. Okay, those are the guidelines. the USDA has come up with something called MyPlate, and this is actually evolved over time. So originally, we started with a plan that had 7 food groups. This was based on foods traditionally eaten by North Americans. In the 1950s, it was simplified to a 4 food group plan, which included milk, meat, fruit, and vegetables, and the bread and cereal groups, or 4 groups. And then in 1992, the plan was depicted using a pyramid shape. Maybe some of you guys remember the food pyramid. And that was updated in 2005 to reflect new scientific knowledge. It was called My Pyramid, Steps to a Healthier You. And in 2011, the plan that we use now, it was simplified to make it easier for consumers to make good choices, or I shouldn't say good, I should say healthy food choices, is called MyPlate. So we're going to talk about MyPlate. And so here's kind of that evolution. We went from, the food pyramid to My Period, Steps to a Healthier You, and then to MyPlate. And so let's take a look at MyPlate. You can go online. The USDA has it's www.choosemyplate.gov. You can learn a lot more about this. But this newer plan emphasizes fruits, vegetables, grains, specifically whole grains, proteins, and dairy food groups. The goal is to remind us about building a healthy plate at meal times, and it shows you, what fraction of your plate should be filled with what types of food. Okay, so you can see, a little bit more than a quarter of your plate should be vegetables. Should include dairy, those types of things. We should be focusing on key behaviors according to this MyPlate. Balance our calories. There should be some foods that we increase, and there should be some foods that we decrease. Okay? Myself. Balancing calories. So you should enjoy your food, but the message is to eat a little less. Avoid oversized portions, which is a huge problem in the United States. Foods to increase. Make half your plate fruits and vegetables. Make at least half of your grains whole grains, right? Switch to fat-free or low-fat milk instead of having whole milk, full-fat milk. Foods to reduce. Compare sodium in foods and choose foods with lower sodium amounts. Drink water instead of sugary drinks. Okay. All right. So let's put MyPlate into action a little bit. So we've seen this table here on the right already when we looked at EERs, right? Estimated energy expenditures. It goes by life stage, so age as well as sex, and then activity level is also factored in. Again, these are estimates. So that's how you should start, by estimating your energy needs. And then on the next slide, we're going to see a table. It's 2.6 from the textbook. And it tells you how your energy needs correspond to the recommended number of servings of each food group per day. And so we'll look at that. And then the serving size listed, the servings are based on the serving size listed in table 7. So I've got those 2 slides in here for us. Okay, so this is table 2.6 from our textbook. And again, this is the MyPlate recommendations for daily amounts, servings of food based on your energy needs. So if you are supposed to consume, 1,800 calories a day, then for grains, you should have, 6 ounces, vegetables, 2.5 cups, fruits, 1.5 cups, dairy, 2.5 to 3 cups, protein foods, 5-ounce equivalent, saturated fats, 20 grams, added sugars, a maximum 45 grams. Okay, so again, it gives you, daily amounts, recommended daily amounts. Okay. Let's see. This next table kind of gives you an idea of serving size. So if you're supposed to have, let's go back, what did I say for ounces of grains? We said 6 ounces of grains on an 1,800 calorie diet. So how much is an ounce? So you got a slice of bread, so that would be 1 ounce. 1 cup of ready-to-eat breakfast cereal, 1 mini bagel, 3 cups of popcorn. So you got to meet 6 ounces. So you'll have to have, six servings of whatever from here. 1 cup of vegetables. That could be 1 cup of raw or cooked, 1 cup of vegetable juice, so on and so forth. So those are just some equivalencies. And then I wanted to put this table in here as well. These are, major nutrient contributors of groups in MyPlate. So again, grains, vegetables, what's in grains, what's in vegetables. So you can see there's like a list of macro and micronutrients here. Fruits, when you think about fruits, you're going to get a lot of carbohydrates, maybe vitamin A, C, folate, magnesium, potassium, fiber. Dairy is going to give you calcium, phosphorus, carbohydrates, proteins, vitamins, and minerals. Another protein like meat is going to give you, these. And then oils, which is not included on MyPlate, but it's a type of fat. You're going to get essential fatty acids, vitamin E, very important. Okay, and I wanted to end off here with serving size and some key things to keep in mind during meal planning. When we think about serving size, we don't always have a tablespoon or a cup, or a way to measure ounces, when we're out to dinner or even when we're home. And so these can kind of help you. So 2 tablespoons of dressing or peanut butter or margarine, that would be the serving size for those types of things. You can think of that as being the equivalent of the size of a golf ball. 1/2 to 2/3 of a cup, which is the serving size for some of these types of things, is about the size of a tennis ball. 3 ounces of meat, poultry or fish, which is the general serving size, is about the size of a deck of cards, which is equivalent to about 1/2 to 3/4 of a cup. 1 cup is about the size of a baseball. So you can think of a large apple, a large orange. Okay, so again, serving size is pretty important. And a lot of times, students will say, I didn't realize that I was eating above or below the serving size until I looked at the nutrition facts label, realized what the serving size was, measured it out, and looked at it and said, that's a serving? I'm eating 3 times as much as that, or I was only eating half of that. So serving size really matters. Okay, last slide here of the chapter. Some things to keep in mind when you're meal planning. No specific food is required for good nutrition, so it's not like you have to eat broccoli every day, right? Every food supplies some nutrients, some better than others. No individual food group provides all the essential nutrients in adequate amounts. So you can't just eat vegetables. You're going to miss essential nutrients that you're going to find in the other food groups. Foods within a group may vary widely with respect to their nutrient content and their energy content. So keep that in mind. It's better to choose nutrient-dense foods that are lower in calories, although there are some energy-dense foods that provide a lot of nutrition. You just have to pay attention to serving size. That's the next one. To keep calories under control, make sure that you pay attention to serving size and try to limit empty calorie foods. So foods that are high in fat, especially saturated fat, sugars, sodium, sodium doesn't have calories, but not good for you. So empty calorie foods, you want to try to limit those. Calories that don't have a lot of nutritional value. Variety is key to getting the array of nutrients offered by each food group, so don't be afraid to try new foods and to expand your palate. Okay, that is the end of chapter 2.